very good day to you and welcome to Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Jadil Kabira. We're having political conversations which I hope will help our leaders in making better policy and political decisions. Starting this conversation before we talk about other matters, about Rachel Ruto, who said the reason Uganda is very fertile and it has been raining is because of the East Africa revival that swept Uganda. Let me tell you, revival has come to Kenya. In days to come, these rains you are seeing will not come to an end. Of course, my friend Honorable Philip Kisia on Twitter said, I suggest sincere prayers for the first family. Something seems amiss. What sets Mrs. Ruto apart from someone drinking poison and seeking a witch doctor's help? Soil and rain aren't influenced by prayer warriors. Are these beliefs any different from the Shakahola Brigade? The person I'm sitting next to, Herman Manyora, replied to Philip Kisia saying, religion and belief go hand in hand. In fact, the two are one and the same, and this is personal. Let the First Lady, Mama Rachel Ruto, worship and praise her God in peace. This conversation is happening in the country because we've had the Thanksgiving on KICC on Monday with regards to praying for this country to develop, praying for the economic stability of this country, praying for rains. Prof. Philip Kisia says this is poison. What difference is it from someone going to a witch doctor? You're saying it's one and the same. What are you saying to Philip Kisia?
I'm just telling Philip Kisia, leave the First Lady alone. Somebody with their beliefs, their faith, it's a personal thing. You and your God, me and my God, everyone has their, belief systems, belief levels. If the First Lady is that religious, leave her to worship her God.
Okay.
You don't need to follow what she says.
It's as simple as that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying anything that is big or small or anything. I'm just telling Philip Kisia, who is my very good friend, a fellow Tiriki from our place. And I'm telling my fellow Tiriki man, Kisia, wacha Mama Rachel Ruto abudu Mungu wake. Na amini Mungu wake. Na eneze injili anavyotaka kueneza injili. Simple.
There was this conversation about Benny Hinn coming to Kenya. Of course, you were out of YouTube, but he said himself, the pastor, that it is the government sponsoring his crusade here in Kenya. And then pastors came out and said, no, we are the ones sponsoring his campaign in Kenya. Do you think this is difficult for the country to believe that Ruto's administration is not involved in Mama Rachel Ruto's, agenda and coming back to us as taxpayers?
Well, there's always an expense attached to White House. 10 Downing Street in the UK, State House in Nairobi. There are always expenses. This is just, if it is there, it's just one of those expenses.
And so we must accept.
Look, first ladies in the whole world really do not have very concrete roles they play, but they always have a budget. For things that are philanthropy, beyond zero for Margaret Kenyatta and so on and so forth. Somebody could also have argued, why is this First Lady spending so much state resources on matters health and we have a ministry in charge of health with a clear budget? It's not a war you can win. No, it's not a war you can win.
How about the question of whether Kenya is a secular country? We have Muslims in this country who do not seem represented by the office of the First Lady. Is the First Lady for Christians alone? How would you answer that?
The First Lady is not a Christian office. No, it's an office of just the First Lady. The fact that she's highly religious doesn't change the fact that Kenya is a secular state. And our office is just office of the First Lady. Not office of beliefs and faith. No, office of the First Lady.
But don't you think it should represent, it should include all religions in her practice?
How? That's not her assignment. We have not given the First Lady assignment of crusade.
But that is what she says.
If her role was for a national crusade for the country, then we say, please embrace all Kenyans, all faith. But the First Lady is of a certain persuasion in matters religion. And my argument is, let her pursue her faith peacefully and in peace.
So if you have,
she's not imposing it on anybody.
Okay.
We know what an unsecular state does. You get it? In this country, you don't have to be a Catholic to attend a Catholic school. But there are places where, even if the state is not secular, You can't go to a Catholic school if you're not a Catholic. You can't go to a Muslim school if you're not a Muslim. You can't go dressed in hijab to a non-Muslim school. They will be chased away. Somebody tried it. It went to court. He was told, leave their Corinos alone. Let them dress the way they want. That's what a secular state is. And that's what we are. The first lady is just highly religious. And we leave her with her religion. She can make her own interpretations about Uganda. That is, it is God and revival. What I know for a fact, which is scientific, that there's natural phosphate in Uganda. And therefore you don't need fertilizer. Parts of Western province, like where I come from in Vihiga, had the same soils, but they have now been depleted. Vihiga people started using fertilizer not more than 20 years ago, about 20 or so years ago. Before that, there was natural phosphate in the soil, which is part of which is really the case with Uganda.
So I guess you
But you can believe, you can interpret the facts the way you want.
So you're agreeing with Kisia that soil and rain aren't influenced by prayer.
No. But look here. You do not underrate religion.
Okay.
Why do you think a small, tiny state called Israel is this powerful? And some people can say terrorizing the world, the Middle East. Why? And it's a tiny, even to locate it on the map. Can you see Israel on the map with the word Israel in it? Inafanya mstari inaandikwa kadoti haka ndio Israel. Si ndio?
Yeah.
But why is it powerful?
Maybe Rachel Ruto has something there.
Because of religion. Because of faith. Because of they believe they are certain people. And religion does not have to point to God in heaven. Let's not go there.
Let's not go there. This is a political conversation. Let's talk about what is happening in the country. This is the third National Wage Bill Conference at the Bomas of Kenya by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. This is their last day on Wednesday. They're talking about the wage bill, trying to look at what government is planning, telling employers, in fact, that civil servants will not have an upward review of their salaries. As employers, we have been advised not to do so to tame a high wage bill. Also talking to doctors, telling them, listen to us, this country is not doing well financially. This conversation of wage bill, we're having it now. It has always been there. It seems like half of what we get from taxes goes to payment of salaries. How can we deal with it? Is it that we started from an all-time high that we cannot go lower?
It's a myth. The wage bill thing is, first of all, is a myth. Nobody even has the correct figures. But it's just a myth. It's not. There's no substance to it.
Ruto says 1.1 trillion.
There's no substance to it. And you can look at it the way you want. But what I know, if history is anything to go by, anytime we have brought this conversation, it has not been initiated by us Kenyans. It has been initiated from elsewhere. The World Bank and IMF.
Oh.
Of course. In fact, sometimes they even finance the retrenchment.
Why? Why would they finance
You
it?
go and ask them.
Eh.
I never listen to them because I know they are useless fellows. I know their agenda. They want to keep third world countries permanently poor to be exploited by the first world. Because if you stop exploiting, the moment you stop exploiting Africa is the moment you stop being powerful if you are European or American. You can only be powerful to the extent that Africa is poor and ready for exploitation perpetually. So that's conversation. That narrative is a World Bank narrative. That thinking is a World Bank thinking. They tell us we are not doing well in this area, so they introduce the issues of bloated workforce, reduce the workforce. This is just the beginning. When you are just still seated here, you'll hear government is going to retrench people. And IMF will give them the money, World Bank will give them the money to retrench. But to show you that we don't even believe in it ourselves, the moment you sack 1,000 people, 6 months later you have employed 1,500. All these corporations, telecom, what have you, universities, they all retrenched following orders from the World Bank and IMF.
Advice.
They retrenched. I remember in the university it was very tough. A man went home with, it was kept secret. And this is really a real story. A man went home with a letter of retrenchment. Akaambia mama, hey, mimi imeniangukia. Mama akamwambia, si hata mimi niko naye. They were both working. One of them collapsed and died. Real story. Another story is a guy who was doing this list in one of these ministries. He did the list, but when it came out, he was number one on the list.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was. But what happened is what is important. What followed? Hardly a year later, the same people who had retrenched people, advice from the World Bank, who are now already in a hiring spree.
Advertising positions.
No, just filling positions. They employed even more than the ones that. That's why I'm saying this country. You know, we are. I don't know what mode we are using as we move as a country. Unless we stop these kind of things, we will never ever go anywhere. But more substantively.
Yes.
More substantively, 1.1 trillion is what the president is saying.
Yes.
Dollars or shillings?
Kenya shillings.
Miserable shillings. What is 1 trillion shillings? That's not money. That is just absolute nonsense.
But we are collecting
shillings.
We are collecting 2.
Shillings.
We've collected 2.2 trillion.
Why
We're using half.
Why 2? That's where the focus should be. Kibaki got us collecting 200 billion. He pushed it to about 1 trillion or so. That should be the journey we must walk. Let us not base ourselves on the 2 trillion we are collecting. Let's collect 10 trillion and let's double our workforce. We need to employ more Kenyans, not sack more Kenyans.
Haven't we squeezed enough from Kenyans to
No,
collect?
you
That
don't
is
go.
also
I have said
the
this,
question that comes
I've answered this question until I'm now tired. But maybe just for your sake. I think I've been answering Richard and other people.
Yeah.
In fact, do not squeeze more money from Kenyans in taxes. Reduce the rates. People paying at 30%, 30%, bring it to 20%. Educate Kenyans. Take them through literacy, tax literacy, business literacy. How to do your business, how to keep records, how to get a loan, how to do banking. And ultimately, your business is doing well, you are paying taxes. So and the tax ni kitu kidogo tu, simple to collect. But more fundamentally, who told us the only way we can get money, national revenue, is by taxes? How did China reach where it is? Was it taxing the Chinese people to get the money that it has now borrowed? You can borrow in America and everybody else and do all these projects in Africa and elsewhere. Is it because they were taxing Chinese people? No. They were doing two things. Engaged in business. Earning money. The state is earning money. Generating revenue. And saving. When we thought China was sleeping, it was creating and saving. Then it emerged.
But
so this country can create money. You don't have to tax Kenyans.
I want to talk to you about savings. This is what Rigathi Gachagua, President, I think Rigathi Gachagua has been saying. We found our coffers empty. We were not saving. And then you have a problem with him saying that we are not saving. But you're also saying that we need to save as a country. How does that create a balance?
What Gachagua was saying, he expected the taxes we collect, something to be found there. But that's not possible. The money we collect in taxes inaanguka ndani na inatoka. In fact, wanaingojea ianguke walipe mishahara. So the taxes we collect are matched with expenditure. Instant, hand to mouth. When things were doing better, even capitation was yearly, annually, then quarterly. Now every month, the university must wait for treasury to give capitation to pay salaries. So there is no money you can find there. The money they collect, they spend. But that's not the idea I'm talking about. I'm talking about government creating revenue other than taxes. We are selling parastatals. These parastatals should be creating the 2 trillion you are talking about. Should be coming. The parastatals we have should create for us 2-3 trillion every year instead of selling them. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We have our minerals. How are we benefiting from our minerals? By giving people license, they give us license fee, then they take all the billions of dollars out of the country or millions of dollars. No. We partner with anybody who wants to exploit our resources, and we get trillions of shillings, adding to millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. We have our forests. Do we get anything from our forests? Trees mature, trees die. If I ask the government, since independence, how much money have we ever earned from our trees? We have our marine life. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And on and on and on. For every 1 shilling you collect from taxes, government can earn another 50 shillings. So this country can have 30 trillion every year.
It is the
And unless we go there, we will remain a poor, dirty, third world country.
It's a general belief that if you want to be comfortable in life, pata kazi kwa serikali.
Yeah.
And then you listen to Len Mingich talking about reviewing salaries. Do you think our civil servants are getting paid more than they deserve and actually more than we can bear?
You can say yes and no. Yes, only to the extent that there's a lot of wastage in the public service. It is not the salaries. It is the expenditure away from salaries that you can consider. Not just even allowances. Allowances may be justified in most cases. They are justified. But unnecessary expenses, office expenses, toilet paper, flowers, tea, they consume millions in a department. Trips overseas, Naivasha, Mombasa, airfare, those are the things that gobble the government sources. But in terms of salary, do we need to freeze the pay? Do we need to cut down? Do we overpay people? Coming from Mengich, Lynn, I actually forgive her. Even when I look at her. You know, I can look at somebody and tell you this thing is too big for them. Just looking at your face, then you talk. I may not be Soros, but I can tell you when I look at somebody. I have that gift. I can look at you and I know your capacity. Even all the years I've been a teacher. And I've taught at different levels. I can go to class and say, this is an intelligent person. This is a hard-working student. This one is like this. I have that capacity. When I look at her, she's a very good person. But that job is too big for her. Let me just tell you why. One of the reasons why the economy is not doing well and why you can't invest in this country in many sectors and get anywhere. And evidence is on the table. Look at insurance uptake. It is as third world as it can ever get. Look at mortgage. Those are the indicators. And you can go on and ask lawyers. How many people have a family lawyer? People only wait until there's a problem. Ask your dentist. How many families do they have who are just there because he's a family dentist? Mtu anangoja meno inataka isiyalala inaenda kungolewa. Those are the indicators that the country called Kenya does not have people with money in their pocket to create a vibrant economy. So these people constructing malls, the malls are empty. Empty first in terms of customers are not there. Secondly, in terms of occupancy. There was a report from the central bank. The occupancy rate was so low, and not because of Corona. Even now. Why? You put up these beautiful things, but where are the people to go and buy things? They don't have money.
I see.
And that's why I'm saying Lynn does not understand. This economy cannot become a vibrant economy unless Kenyans have money in the pocket. And the government is the biggest employer. And therefore, to jumpstart the economy, you need to pay Kenyans well to have surplus money to spend. After you have earned your salary, you paid your taxes and your salary. You've taken your children to school. You paid rent. You bought food in the house. You've cut out for transport for the month. You have money to go and enjoy watching a movie. You have money to go into those malls and do some shopping. You can consider getting on a mortgage. You can consider an insurance for your children for future because you have some money left after you have cut out for the basic. So Lady Mengich, you will forgive her. She doesn't understand that. That's too big for her. Then I have no problem. She's a good person, but the job is too big for her.
So to answer,
we don't need SRC, and if we must have it, we need a person with the capacity to have a brain that can look at the bigger picture. Unless this country begins paying people salaries, the all economics we learned in Form 1, Form 2, which Lin Mingich must be aware of, about how the vicious cycle of poverty and how to break it. Because you need to have people who are earning with the capacity to save. It is from the savings that investment follows. Because your money in the bank is what banks borrow to other people for long-term investment. You get it?
Yes.
And those long-term investment then create employment. The people employed now spend money in the economy and also save. Their saving is borrowed by investing. You see that thing?
Yeah,
if it is not there, then you have the other way around, the vicious cycle of poverty. Because you don't have creators of wealth and employment, you don't have people earning. And because you don't have people earning, you don't have people saving. And because you don't have people saving, there is no investment in the country. You see that vicious cycle?
Yes.
So people like Lin Mengi, this Form 2 economics.
To answer my question, you're saying, because she says civil servants will not have an upward review, you're saying we need to look for ways to raise
Our revenue.
Yes. Pay people more.
Not more. Pay people. We are not paying people in this country. I have repeated. And this question Raila and Uhuru were asking, and other people, when they ran for office of president in 2013, they were asked, there's this issue of poor pay in Kenya. What, in your view, is the minimum wage? What should be the average lowest pay for this country? They were asked. Come on, none of them answered. They were skirting around it. Because these are also capitalists. None of them, not even Raila.
Yeah.
The answer is unless you take the minimum earnings, the minimum salary in this country, mtu anafagia Nairobi, unless you give them 50,000 shillings, this economy cannot grow. Not because you like that worker, you are giving them 50. But unless you give him 50, this economy cannot grow. It will be a stagnated economy because there are not people who can consume, who can buy services and goods. So you give the lowest person around 50,000, give or take, 40, 50, 60. Then everybody correspondingly goes up. Then you control the excess payment by what there's a word, I don't know how it is, a ratio. From the lowest paid to the lowest, you apply that ratio, I've forgotten the name, which is 1 to 20. If somebody is getting 100,000, the lowest paid, the other guy can now get 2 million. But you cannot have people earning 2 million when other people are earning 10,000 as the lowest paid.
Okay.
So that way you create. So then the question becomes, if we are going to pay the messenger in a government office 60,000 shillings, where is the money going to come from?
Yeah.
Then the answer would be, let us stop corruption, let us stop wastage, and let us create wealth as a nation.
All right. Yeah. So if you were to speak finally in this
They should have invited
national wage bill conference,
they should have invited
this is the last day. If you were to speak, what would you tell them apart from what you've just said?
I'll tell them to go home, all of them.
That's why you can't be invited.
I'll tell them go home.
Yeah.
Like I've told Nakomicha, go home. Go and start thinking. Come back when you have engaged your brain. When you have blocked your ears from listening to World Bank and IMF, so that the solutions are generated by us. We know our problems, we generate solutions. We may invite partners and friends to help us, but we are the ones who generate and originate the thinking. So for now, get your allowances, go back where you came from. Until you are ready to come to this conference to think, not about wage bill being high, not about having a bloated workforce, but about increasing the workforce. If government has employed, I hear about, 700 or 900,000 people, this government ought to employ 5 million people. Government has not employed 1 million people so far. But the minimum number this government ought to employ for this economy to be vibrant, for us to be safe where we stay, for people not to invade us tomorrow in our posh homes in Karen, we need to employ 5 million Kenyans in government. The question would be, one, Where do you get the money? And I've said, let us create money, let us stop corruption, and we say. Number two, let us create money, pay people, but let them be productive. Let's see what public servants can do.
Yeah.
Let's not count the figures, statistics, no.
Yeah. Let them be productive.
What are they doing? Are they helping this country to grow? Or they are just going to office on social media? Every time you go to the office,
Yeah.
can we know what you have done by the end of the day? That is the conversation. Not saying we have too many people. Only we need to employ a lot more than we have and pay them a salary. We don't pay them salaries now.
Let us close this conference. Well, this is the National Wage Bill Conference.
We have
just
had ours
closed
here.
it. Yes, we've had us here.
Yes.
Thank you for tuning in. Until we do talk again, if you know Lynn Mingich, show her this video that Prof has talked to her directly. Of course, these conversations are here to help us when it comes to making policies for our country. Until we do talk again, have yourself a lovely rest of your day.